Welcome, Ashley Milburn, Roots member and festival leader.
Thank you for the invite.
So, how long have you been involved in Alternate Roots?
Going on 4 years, actually, specifically with Resources for Social Change.
Cool. How did that start?
I threatened them. I begged them to help with the initiative, the cultural organizing initiative that we were beginning in West Baltimore. I met Roots at, I think it was in 2006 or 7. Roots came up to do a convening presentation, I believe, with about 11 schools and performance venues, Convergence or something like that. And I sat next to Ashley Sparks. She came in to do a workshop or discussion with the community arts program at MICA that I was a student of, just getting ready to graduate. And the clarity of what Roots, Alternate Roots, was presenting, and their history and their focus was exactly what I needed. So I got myself invited to, I believe it was in Clarkstown, Maryland, with Hope. I met Hope and Bob there at one of the workshops that they were doing. And we went out for lunch, and I told them about the vision that I had for West Baltimore and art and culture, and begged and pleaded and threatened to have them help me.
And that began a long and fruitful relationship between Resources for Social Change and Culture Works,
Yeah.
yes?
They've been helping us. That relationship continues to grow. As of this year, we've asked Resources for Social Change not only to stay in contact and helping hands with Culture Works, which is the organization that grew out of my thesis project out of MICA, asked them to start working with other communities that were expressing interest in art and culture as a part of their community development toolkit. So they've begun that process with Fayette Outreach Community Association the latter part of 2010. We want Resources for Social Change to do with other groups what they have done with us, in the hope that by the time we go into the festival, we will have 2 or 3 other engaged community groups working with art and culture. It's part of what they do within their community.
So, what's your favorite memory of working with Alternate Roots so far?
That's interesting. I'd have to say the last AM meeting, we brought down 14 community people out of West Baltimore, and I believe 6 of them will be shortly joining Alternate Roots as a paid member. But to see the community stand up at the AM meeting and dedicate themselves to the purposes of what Roots is all about and what Culture Works is all about was soul-feeding for me. But my favorite stuff is the relationship. Every time I see Bob and Maurice, it's like homecoming. We fight and we laugh and we discuss and scratch at how better to be at what we do.
Wonderful.
I think that's my favorite.
Please describe for our listeners what it is that you're doing with the festival.
Yeah, I have a dual purpose. One is to continue the efforts of Culture Works to continue to engage communities in understanding how art and culture is a organizing tool and how they can better participate in the upcoming festival in 2011. The other part of me is a part of the staff of Alternate Roots and community development, cultural development, working with the festival and the community and how they interact and engage themselves to plan with both of those parts of me through the festival. This whole festival is a sort of focus point for us, what we call sort of a cultural triage as we go into the festival and organize ourselves, and as Alternate Roots has sustainable practice at working with communities to put on a project like this. We will learn a lot, and we will do a lot, and we will be skilled better than when we went out the festival, so that when we get out of the festival, go through it, we have engaged people around a really interesting project in which they grow, Roots grows, Culture Works grows. It's a beautiful intersection. Don't know if that answers the question for you, though.
Absolutely. So what are you most excited about with all this work?
That's a long discussion. What comes to mind is that when you think about what we, Alternate Roots, Culture Works, and the community and Baltimore at large, is looking at an outcome in less than 25 weeks of absolute trying to start a dead body of community and bring it back to life. So in a very short period of time, I mean, if I really allowed myself to think about what we are trying to do, accomplish, to have this happen in light speed is very interesting. Not only does the festival engage communities, but I'm watching folks, stakeholders that, for the most part, come into that community, do their thing, and walk out to get engaged around this community development around art and culture. I just came out of a meeting this week with Parks and People Foundation, where they have dedicated themselves to put art in their public spaces that they are regreening. They're dedicated to it. They've created 4 art positions to create work. That's unheard of. That relationship with art and culture and Parks and People Foundation was not there. And it's only there because